My name is Megan Kallstrom, and I was in the Spring 2015 Columbia and Slavery seminar. My paper examines the relationship between Columbia College faculty and slavery. The time span for this research was 1784, when Columbia College was founded, to 1865, when the Civil War and slavery ended. 89 professors taught at Columbia during that period, and I researched the views of each. In this project, I had three main objectives. First, to determine what thoughts or feelings the faculty had, both individually and collectively, towards slavery. Second, to compare faculty attitudes towards slavery with the largely conservative attitudes of white New Yorkers in general. And third, to determine if there was a pattern to faculty's attitudes over time. I used a variety of sources in my research, including professors' personal and published writings, census records, students' lecture notes, Columbia archives, various organizations' records, biographies and other secondary sources, and more. I found that Columbia College faculty's attitudes towards slavery appear to have aligned with those of white New Yorkers. Neither vociferously pro-slavery nor passionately against it, the majority of faculty members seem to have been apathetic toward it. Relatively few professors discussed the matter in writings or in lectures, or took decisive action to end or support it. Where sentiment for or against slavery existed among the faculty, however, the faculty bent more toward opposing slavery than supporting it. One major piece of evidence for professors' apathy toward slavery is simply their silence on the matter. Professors largely do not seem to have discussed slavery, whether to challenge or support it, inside or outside of the classroom. Even in situations where comment on slavery would have been germane, such as writings on New York's commerce or lectures on the Confederacy, the topic wasn't broached, indicating a tacit tolerance of slavery's place in society. Another sign of faculty indifference is that a significant number of professors owned slaves. Approximately 48 professors for whom census records still exist would have legally been able to own slaves, and 21 of those 48 did. While owning slaves did not necessarily make one pro-slavery, it does indicate a certain comfort with, even embrace of, the status quo that slavery enabled, and imply a reluctance to change it, attitudes that arguably characterized white New Yorker sentiments toward slavery as well. It is important to note, though, that while the majority of Columbia professors were largely silent on the slavery issue, some, approximately 28, under a third, did voice an opinion. Of these 28, none were pro-slavery. A few were pro-Southern, including one chemistry professor who abruptly resigned in 1863 to design chemical weapons for the Confederacy. However, most professors who explicitly expressed views on the topic could be considered anti-slavery for a wide range of reasons, with this diversity of opinion actually being the clearest and most consistent trend in professors' anti-slavery views. Some professors called for abolition, gradual or immediate. Others were manumissionist, with 14 professors supporting the New York Manumission Society. Multiple professors belonged to various colonization societies, with William Alexander Dewar even simultaneously serving as president of the New York Colonization Society and Columbia College at one point. Several professors condemned slavery for moral and/or religious reasons. Others decried it as economically harmful. Though in the minority, these professors showed that apathy, if the dominant sentiment, was not the only sentiment toward slavery among Columbia College faculty. Despite these exceptions, though, my findings overall indicate that faculty bolstered a conservative atmosphere at Columbia with regard to slavery. By and large, Columbia College professors may not have embraced slavery, but they did little to hasten its end either.